We're here with State Senator Mark Pody and State Representatives Clark Boyd and Terry Lynn Weaver with another legislative wrap-up here on some different issues today on WJLE and on our website, WJLE.com. And folks, it's good to have you with us again.
Good to be here.
It's good to be here.
Our pleasure.
Well,
Dwayne, before you start, I want to give a shout out to you and your radio station and your
Yes.
website. I will tell you that your website is extremely informative. It's what I go to actually get a lot of news that's happening here in the county.
well,
You
thank
bet.
you. We appreciate
And
that.
our staff at our office, the same.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it very much. On this segment, let's start out talking about education and what was
Wow.
done in this legislative session that's just completed. Who wants to start with that?
Well,
Representative Boyd?
Yeah, I'll be glad to. I think this was a huge success year for education. We made the largest investment in public education that we've ever made in the history of Tennessee, and that to the tune of $6.5 billion. Of that, around $71 million was actually for teacher pay raises.
it will be for teachers.
teacher pay raises, and I actually carried a piece of legislation this year for the administration that would give some transparency to teacher pay raises. I think in the past we've had a problem where we allocate money in the BEP for the instructional component or for pay raises, and then you would meet teachers in the district who would say, I didn't get a pay
didn't get
raise.
it.
And so what this does is it requires the LEAs, the local education agencies, to report back the next year to the Department of Education how the money was spent. And the other big thing that I want to talk about with education is the school resource officer grant program that we had. We have allocated $40 million to that. And I represent multiple districts, as I'm sure, as I know that y'all do too. And like in Wilson County and in Lebanon, we have plenty of school resource officers. It's not a problem. But in some of my rural areas, you'll have one officer covering multiple schools, and that's just unacceptable. And so this year I was proud to see the governor put the money in the budget and create some a grant program so that some of the rural districts could get school resource officers as well. And I'll let y'all talk about education.
Good job, good job. Well, I want to talk, I sit on full committee of the education, full committee in the House, and I want to talk about the CTE program, which I'm very excited about because that's all about rural Tennessee. There's kids who aren't always going to go to college. There's that group of kids that just want to find a good job when they get out of high school, and so the CTE program is perfect because we allowed $25 million to invest into the CTE program throughout the state for communities to have a two-pathway learning procedure. So, kids can get all of their requirements, all of their learning for trade, for manufacturing, for welders, electricians. Some of these kids now can graduate out of high school and have a really good paying job when they get out of high school. So again, there's kids who are college bound and there are kids who are not. The governor was really big, he called it the GIVE Act. So we're going to give our kids an opportunity to, again, have a good paying job so they can take care of their families here in our great state of Tennessee. Also, I carried a piece of legislation that requires you to not only teach and take civics, but also that you have to pass it in order to graduate. We had it where you had to give civics, but we need to really focus more on teaching our young adults what it means to be actively engaged as a citizen, and to know our history and to know why this is the greatest nation to live in, and our principles and stuff. So that that was my bill in education. Oh gosh, what else? You talked on the teachers' raises. Well, we had okay, I'll bring the elephant in the room. The governor's ESA bill. That was a huge debate. It was a very, very difficult discussion, I will tell you this.
The educational savings account.
Yes, I apologize, yes. Other known as the voucher bill.
Right.
That's what I called it. But at any rate, there's pros and cons on it. I did not support the bill. My ideology is less government involved in education. I'd like to get rid of the whole Department of Education if I had it my way. But I do think that this was very dear to the governor, and we passed a bill. By the time it got out, it only involved 2 counties, which is Davidson and Shelby County. It's considered a pilot program, and again, I just didn't support it. I didn't feel it was what my district wanted, so I voted yes in the full committee, and I'll tell you why I got the camera here, is because I thought that all 99 members in the House should have a part of that discussion, because education is the #1 part of the pie where we give most of our money to, next to healthcare. So I thought we needed more discussion on that, but I'm gonna turn it over to Pody.
And I did support the Give Act, or I'm sorry, the ESAs, the Education Savings Program. Now, some of the things that I seen in the original bill, I was not comfortable with,
Yeah.
but I think through the amendments, they got rid of just about every single thing that I was not comfortable with. And in the end, some of these students, there's 5,000 students of the 1 million kids in Tennessee in schools right now. The governor said, we want to help the 5,000 that need it the most. And he identified 2 of the districts, and it is Davids County and Shelby County. And we said, we're going to try and give those some opportunities to let the parents have decisions of where their kids can go for the best education that they believe. And I believe that God gave the kids to the parents, and it's not up to government. If the parents decide that it's going to be in public schools that they should go, that's great. If they think that those schools aren't facilitating the education of their kids, and they want to go to a private school, that's fine. I've heard that this would open a door of money going to private schools. Well, that's actually not true, because we've been doing that for years already. In fact, the last voucher bill that we passed is already going to private things, as well as on the Pell Grants. In fact, Tennessee Promise money is actually going to some of the private schools as well. They said, well, this would open the door that it might expand. We've opened that door before with the first bill that we passed. And I will tell you that after 3 years, if this program is working well, and the kids are exceeding the expectations of what we have, we should consider expanding it. However, if it's not, we should consider getting rid of it. This is going to be something that we've got to give these kids in the worst areas the best possible opportunity.
And to your point, though, we cannot change anything in this bill. Legislation has to come forward, and I think
That's
that's
correct.
what you meant. So
Yes.
this is what it is. It's a 3-year pilot program, so it's got to stay with, those guardrails are permanent until someone would bring legislation to change that, Dwayne, so that you know that.
And where did you come down on the?
Yeah, I was in favor of it as well, and actually Senator Pody hit a lot of points that were important to me, and that is early on the legislation I did not like. It had a statewide application, the income level was too high, and it would have, I think it would have been devastating to public education, and so I made some points that I wanted to see changed in the bill. They did everything that I asked them to do, and at the end of the day, this turned into a very isolated bill. It affects Davidson and Shelby County, just a certain population there, and they need some help. And so if we give their parents, who are taxpayers, a little bit of tax money to give a scholarship to their child to get them in a better school, I don't have a problem with that.